I am so excited about my new bike. It is the only one of its kind from the factory. The only other colored Mini from the factory is Jim's, who actually got his months before me because, look, the aura outweighs anything I can put in a video. But this Mini has its own aura. They nailed the red frame. It is vibrant. The last time I reviewed an E-Ride Pro Mini, it was 60 volts and did not impress me next to the RTR. This Mini is 72 volts, so I'm excited to give it a rip. At 8 kilowatts, it's the same power of a full-size Sur-Ron Lightbee, but at half the size. The battery should get great range. I'm charging it up while I bring the wheels to Tim Ritson, who's also the E-Ride Pro race team captain, swapping the tires out for Supermotos, which I think look incredible, and they'll feel perfect on the road tomorrow at the Mini Bike Ride Out. Only Minis allowed. The headlight, tail light, tool bag, keychain, and the 2 USB ports are great touches. I've got a matching set now between the 3.0 and the Mini, both on Supermotos with this cherry red frame. Next to the RTR, it is a little bit smaller, looking more like an e-bike rather than a pit bike. Both stunning bikes in their own ways, and the E-Ride Pro is $600 more expensive than the RTR, which is 20%, so I'm happy to see the additional features, but it better rip as well to justify the price because the bar is set high at that lower price point.
Picked a great main, but your voice doesn't quite match it?
We have a fix. Sound off with a voice that matches your main.
Or assemble and deploy your best audio memes with the perfect time.
Hey, you! What would happen if your plane's engine failed? Both of them. And afterwards, crashed in the middle of the ocean! Let's be honest here, you'd probably die. But what if you didn't and washed up on a deserted island? Could you survive, build a raft, and sail across oceans to get back home? Well, I don't know, but I'm about to find out.
All right, so the first thing I need to do is get water.
My plan is to basically scan the whole island. I'm hoping for some kind of creek or river that can offer me fresh water. But even after getting obliterated by a bunch of bees, I still couldn't find water. Doesn't look like there's a creek. That is, until I saw these coconuts. And even though I figured out the water problem, something I wasn't paying attention to is I was running out of light. Fast. Last thing I'm gonna do today, on my first night after the crash, I'm gonna build a simple shelter and try to stay warm, but...
Oh, but man, it's cold.
Good morning. This is the start of day 2 of me trying to escape this island.
Hey, it's a crab. Hey, crab.
To theoretically survive the crashed plane scenario, I'll need a way better shelter, food, and eventually a raft to escape. So let's get to work.
Okay, so I'm honestly thinking, the more in the woods that I am, the less that rain's gonna be able to get to the natural cover anyway. What I'm thinking about doing is basically building like a tripod of sticks right here, and then running a long stick into that tree right there.
First thing I'm gonna do is make a clearing for my bed. Closer I look at this log, you can see it's just completely covered in ants. At the cost of my own sanity, this shelter was actually getting built. By the way, you might be noticing some of these suitcases laying around. That's because we're simulating a plane crash here, and people's luggage would probably wash ashore after the crash, right? And so, I ordered 3 suitcases from a website that sells unclaimed baggage, meaning these belong to real people. But I'd only really consider a few of their belongings even useful at all.
I just had an idea. When I was a little kid, I used to start fires with a magnifying glass in the backyard. And I just took another look at these glasses. I'm noticing that this is focusing a little bit of light. I'm gonna see if I can try to get like a small twig or some dead leaves to burn, and hopefully I can start a fire. Found some dead coconut skins, I guess, or something. God, it just keeps smoking, it doesn't start. That is what I'm talking about! I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna get this up to my shelter that I'm working on right now, but...
Keep in mind, I've been working in the sun for 2 days without food.
My stomach just hurts. They say you can go a long time without eating, but like my stomach already hurts. And hopefully tomorrow I can get a really good meal. But right now I'm just so thirsty. It's like all I can think about is just water.
And unfortunately, very shortly is where things begin to take a turn for the worst. But this version of myself doesn't know that yet.
This is pretty crazy. Look at this. There's these light beams that come down from the smoke. Kind of pretty.
I'll tell you firsthand, needing water is the only thing that hurts worse than needing food.
What I'm sailing to, whenever I build this raft, is way out there. You can barely even see it. Way out there. That's gonna be really hard for me, I think. However, this whole thing's been pretty hard so far. Who cares if it gets a little harder? The island I'm stranded on is definitely pretty beautiful.
By the end of day 2, it was clear that I had done something horribly wrong.
Inside you, there are 2 kidneys. I'm gonna take one. Inside you, there are 2 kidneys. I'm gonna take one. Inside you, there are 2 kidneys.